go in here. Never go, I don't have to use it. The multi double head.
Welcome here on the show 360 Sport on Trust TV. I'm Adeni Jishafe. Always good to promote our own there. Looking at that particular clip, our women fighting out their match day 2. When it comes to football in Nigeria, NWFA match day 2 result, we'll be giving you that. But that particular video is actually a us to that moment when we talk about Nigerian Women Football League, where they play match day 2 across Nigeria, taking you back there to have a feel of how women ply their trade across the nation. Now we look at the first story. NWFL matches were played. A lot of games were actually played yesterday across Nigeria. We look at the first story. Edo Queens, Danas Ladies, Abia Angels wins in thrilling week of action. All these teams actually won their games in this encounter, where a lot of goals were actually scored in the NWFA match day 2. About 16 goals were scored across Nigeria. All the teams participating, trying to see how they can outsmart one another in the games that they were playing match day 2. Well, we look at the actions there, looking at the result of those games and the scorers for all the team. Well, for the match day 2 result, Heartland Queens, they fought hard at home, but they lost that game against Edo Queens, who won in that encounter, courtesy of Osigwe Goodness, scoring for them in the 48th and also 78th minute to make it 2-1, while Matthew Monica pulled one back for them to make it 2-1 in favor of Edo Queens. They won that game, defeating them in an away game. Congrats to Edo Queens for being able to scoop 2 goals there, while Matthew Monica scored 1 for Heartland Queens. They lost that game by 1-2. And in Danas Ladies versus Confluence Queens of Lokoja, or rather Kogi State, Zainab Raji in the 9th minute and Omosuke Ogunfoa adding another one in the 32nd minute to make it 2-0 for the Lagos Ladies, who won convincingly over there in Lagos. Abia Angels 1-2-3 goals against visiting Nasarawa Amazons. Merit of for Dorothy Eshiet and also Chiamaka Ojila for scoring in the 28th, 38th and 86th minute to add at least to make 3 points and also 3 goals for Abia Angels. They were able to at least do that over there in Umuahia here, defeating visiting team the Amazons, losing 3 goals there in that encounter and also the 3 points. Nigeria Tales of Abuja, it was a 1-1 draw against Rivers Angels, who came so and nearly conquered. They shared the spoil there, 1-1. Oladiji Oluwabumi for Nigeria Tales and Chizom Nwachuku scoring for Rivers Angels to make it at least a share spoil there. Everyone going home with 1 point and also scoring 1 point. FC Robo Queens of Lagos did it well. They were able to win against Adamawa Queens from Yola. A long journey it was for them, even though they tried their best, but they could not win that game against FC Robo Queens, who actually won 2-1 in courtesy of Favor Unkocha and Okpeyemi Ajakaye, scoring 56 in the 56th minute and also in the 98th minute for Robo Queens of Lagos, while Tarfa Anastasia was able to pull one back for Adamawa Queens in the 24th minute. Actually scored earlier. Adamawa Queens scored earlier to scare FC Robo Queens of Lagos before they were able to rally run and score in the 56th and 98th minute to win against visiting Adamawa Queens there. For Delta Queens, a 2-0 silencing of Benue Queen was what they did. Cost of Princess Adam, who scored in the 18th and also 43rd minute in that encounter. Delta Queens showed the reason why they are one of the best when it comes to playing women football in Nigeria, defeating Benue Queens, teaching them how to play football 2-0 over there in Delta State. For Remo Star Ladies, it was a 1-0 against their neighbors, Ekiti Queens, in the battle of the Southwest teams. Olamide Bolaji was able to score for them in the 52nd minute to make it 1-0. That's what they needed. 3 points at stake, and you have 1-0 to actually make a statement. That's good enough for Remo Stars Ladies. While Ibom Angels and Bayelsa Queens, Ibom Angels, you actually have to commend them for being able to hold much more experienced Bayelsa Queens, lethargic team, and they could not score any goal. For Ibom Angels to held their own. Looking at the history behind our club too, you don't want to give, you have to just give them some credit for being able to hold their own right now. Congrats to all the teams for being able to fight hard. Looking at all the performance there, that's Ibom Angels versus Bayelsa Queens. Really, they fought hard. It was a goalless in the encounter of the that particular match there. Looking at the result for that Nasarawa Amazons, they lost in that encounter against Abia Angels, who actually defeated them by 3-0 over there at Umuahia Stadium. Well, looking at the result, the matches played so far, 8 games were on ground and they were able to score about 16 goals were scored on day 2 of the Nigeria Women Football League to add more spice to that particular league is getting better. And to let you know that some of these games was actually seen on TV, they were live on Stars and also NTA, for at least people to see that women football is actually back for people to see. And that's a good one, because at least a lot of women will be able to display at least their talent in this particular league. Their NWFL match day 2, where action took place across Nigeria in that particular league there. We're talking about the NWFL. Now we're talking about the men. It's going to be a big battle tonight, or rather this afternoon by 3 p.m. at the over there in Kano, Sani Abacha Stadium. Kano Pillars versus Eyimba. We are ready to take down Eyimba. Coming from defender of Kano Pillars, Nelson Abia. Nelson Abia is already talking top, because it's going to be a battle of the Titans. You have that team, Kano Pillars, hosting Eyimba in their own match day 14 rescheduled game. And you look at the two giants, Eyimba having former Super Eagles players. We're talking about you look at Ideye playing for Eyimba. You have Ahmed Musa with Kano Pillars. Kano Pillars by 4 p.m. rather. That game will be on, and the two teams having experienced players like Ahmed Musa and Sheikh Abdullah in their key team. Not forgetting Rabiu Ali right now. They will be facing Eyimba International, and they'll be ready to see how they can win this game. That's why one of the defender, Abia Nelson, is already talking top that we'll see how they will down Eyimba over there in Kano at the Sani Abacha Stadium. Can they do it? Will they get all the support from their fans, boisterous fans from Kano Pillar Stadium? They will be at least trying to see how they can support their team to be able to win this game. It's a big game, because if you look at Eyimba, they are standing 7th on the table, and you have Kano Pillar standing 9th also on the table. So team 7 and team 9 facing themselves. Eyimba will be trying to see how they can get 3 points at stake, and Kano Pillar will want to also make it a proud moment at the front of their fans to give them that particular joy that they deserve by winning over there in Kano. Is very, very tight. It's a tight game between the two. Both of them have a lot of record behind them. You look at Eyimba, they have their own, and you look at Kano Pillars, we have to actually cut some cap for them for what they've done so far when it comes to MPFL. Two giants meeting today by 4 p.m. Sani Abacha Stadium is the place. Support your team, same as Gida Boys, and also Eyimba Nzobu Eyimba. The two teams will be fighting hard to see who wins this particular encounter by 4 p.m. Ahmed Musa will be on rampage, not forgetting Brownlee there, who really has been in superlative form for Eyimba. Is joining them after returning from Europe, and looking at the experience of the general manager of Eyimba, and also looking at Kano Pillars. They have the massive support of their fans, ready to give it to them to see how they can win this game. It's going to be a big one tonight, and we expect cracker to actually happen between Eyimba and Kano Pillars. If you love Nigerian football when it comes to MPFL, go out there. If you're in Kano, try and watch that particular encounter. It's going to be a big one between Eyimba International and Kano Pillars, standing 9th on the log, while Eyimba standing 7th on the log. Kano Pillars, Ahmed Musa, can it defeat Brian Day Eyimba? We wait to see what happens tonight. Big match coming up there between the two, and really it's like you are having El Clasico in Nigeria, because the two teams, if you look at the history behind them, really they've done well when it comes to commanding a lot of marshalling in the MPFL. So Kano Pillars with their pride at the front of their fans, and Eyimba looking at the fact that they hold that record as the only Nigerian team to be able to do it when it comes to CAF Champions League back-to-back, and they're also ready to go to see how they can get the 3 points at stake. Stanley Eguma, what can they do with that team? And for Kano Pillars, they will not want to rest on their earth, knowing fully well that their fans are behind them with all the slangs and all the talks that will be coming, and the beats coming from the fans of Kano Pillars supporters. They want to make sure they win that game. That game will be by 4 p.m. Right now, we just have to go on a short break so that by the time we return, we'll give you much more in the world of sports. What a moment there. I enjoyed that particular rugby league. It's always an interesting one when you see Nigerian sportsmen and women go out there to do the business of what they do. But really, that game and encounter that really made a lot of rugby lovers so happy. Well, battle of those teams from the north and also from the south. Lagos team versus Kano team. And it was actually a Kano team that triumphed for the women, rather for the men, while the women actually went to the Lagos team. What a way to swap it. It was an interesting encounter when they met at the Nigerian Rugby League Association, giving you that to at least promote our own every time we are here. We make sure we promote Nigerian sport. Well, from there, let's at least look at what's happening in the world of sport. Earlier on, we talked about the NWFL match day 2 result, and also we talked about Eyimba taking on Kano Pillars today by 4 p.m. over there in Kano at the Sani Abacha Stadium, where the two teams will be locking horns and see who wins the battle of 3 points at stake, at least trying to see how they can add more value to themselves on the log table. Well, Kano Pillars stand 9th on the log, Eyimba standing 7th, and you look at NWFL, the teams are beginning to also taking shape because some teams are doing well, winning their games right now. Well, away from Nigerian football for both men and women, let's cross over to Europe as we look at games that was played yesterday, also in the second tier league of UEFA competition. Talking about Europa, well, UEFA Europa League stage, Besiktas beat Athletic Club, that's Athletic Bilbao, 4-1 in Portugal. What a game, what a game there. Apologies for that, I should be talking. But anyway, from the way it is, Besiktas did well. They were able to win that game 4-1. And really, for the man that just came on, talking about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, he actually became the coach on Saturday, and now he has won his first game for that team. And congrats to Besiktas for being able to win that encounter 4-1, making it a statement that yes, they have at least said how what it takes, even though they are standing 18th on the log table when it comes to Europa table, where the first 8 to qualify automatically, and you have from from 9 to 24 fighting for a knockout stage in that particular league there. Well, that's the match that was played. That was yesterday. But quickly, let's look at the big boys in the UEFA Champions League, where games were also played. Matches, about 9 games were played yesterday. You look at RB Leipzig defeated beating Sporting CP 2-1. Shakhtar the next 2, Brest 0. AC Milan beat Girona by a lone goal scored by Rafael Leao. I have Arsenal, despite not having Bukayo Saka, they are beginning to find their rhythm. They did well winning that game there, be able to win 3-0 against Dinamo Zagreb. Well, for Celtic, won against Young Boys in that encounter. Young Boys came from Switzerland. They were defeated by Celtic. Feyenoord 1-2-3, shockingly defeating Bayern Munich, the giant from Germany. The Bavarians were shocked that they actually considered 3 goals in that encounter. Champions League is becoming something else right now. For PSG, from 2 goals down, what happened to Manchester City? They were leading the pack, but they went to sleep. They actually got defeated by PSG, who really showed their class at the Parc des Princes. 4-2, Dembele among the scorers there. Well, for Grealish, a moment that I wouldn't believe his eyes after scoring, and then you look at that game, Man City, Guardiola against PSG, 4-2, be coming to that later anyway. Real Madrid 5-1 against Red Bull Salzburg. You look at that game, we want to give it to Real Madrid. Santiago Bernabeu being able to at least down them 5 goals to 1. Mbappe, Vini Jr., all of them fights at least getting goals for their team. For Sparta Prague, Inter Milan, they were able to do it because of Lautaro Martinez, who scored for them in that game to make it 1-0, and they were able to get the 3 points at stake. Now, looking at the games that was actually played, you look at PSG, Man City. Well, okay, let's start with Arsenal. Dinamo Zagreb. That was a match that a lot of people were like, what's going to happen? But Arsenal, against all odds, actually shook it off, and they were able to win that game, making statement in that particular encounter at the Emirates. At least they really showed their class by being able to win that game, and they showed their class that they really needed that point, and now they can smile to the bank, because at least from the way it is, Arsenal, they'll be able to cross over, making the top 8 there is not a child's play for the Gunners, and also being able to do well in this encounter, making that statement, at least winning convincingly is what they needed, and they got it against Dinamo Zagreb from Croatia. So talking about the UEFA Champions League, another match that really shocked a lot of people was, though not that people underrate PSG, but Man City, with all the stars that they have, they could not salvage a win there. Another disastrous outing for them. Right now, as we speak, they are on the peril, losing that game 4-2. That was a game that they were leading, and then what happened? What really happened to them? And you look at Luis Enrique. Look at this iconic picture. Luis Enrique was saying, well, he could feel the pains that Guardiola was feeling despite the shower of rain there. But really, it wasn't too nice for the fact that he could not celebrate because of the fact that he's looking at his opponent coach, and he's not too happy for the fact that they were really not in a good mood right now. So he couldn't celebrate. He was just standing there feeling the pain for Guardiola, looking at the Enrique, trying to show some feelings, because he said in football, at times you win and at times you lose. But for Enrique and Guardiola, what a night there, because Guardiola was feeling the pain, Enrique was feeling the happiness that his team came from. That goes down, and they were able to win that encounter. Going back to that PSG versus Manchester City, where we have the scorers there. Well, for Jack Grealish, scoring the first goal was a good one for him. At least what happened? What went wrong after Dembele were able to equalize, and you have Bakola also equalized, making it 2-2. What really happened to Manchester City after scoring first in the 58th, 53rd Erling Haaland, and also Jack Grealish, and then they went to sleep despite Hakimi getting that red. And you look at them not giving up. Neves and also Goncalo Ramos adding more to it to make it 4-2 at the Parc des Princes. That was a performance, outstanding performance from PSG, and they were able to silence Manchester City. Guardiola and his entire team, as it is right now, that will take us to the fact that the man is not really getting it right. What is happening to that team for Manchester City? They just have to go out there and do the match day 8 and see maybe they can that is maybe is very, very dicey. Right now, they are at a perilous situation, very perilous one, as it is right now, concerning Manchester City and PSG. For Real Madrid, it was a walloping on Red Bull Salzburg, as they were able to show their class, stamping their feet on the floor, that they are one of the best when it comes to this particular league, even though they are not finding it easy to, well, among the top 8, they are not there. So, looking at this game, Mbappe also being able to score back-to-back. In the league match, he scored, and now yesterday also made it scoring. Looking at Vinny Jr. also scoring there. What a match. Rodrigo getting the brace there. Vinny also getting, and then you have Mbappe begins to get himself included in that team, getting so grounded with Real Madrid. He's beginning to get his rhythm back, and he's going well with Mbappe, Real Madrid, and the entire squad. Looking at that particular encounter, the UEFA Champions League match day 7. After looking at all the games that were played by all these teams on match day 7, actually some were played on Tuesday and then yesterday. Now let's look at how the table is. It's now a big one because the table is getting more interesting. For the fact that let's look looking at the table now, the UEFA Champions League table. This is just a miniature. Where we have a more comprehensive table. We can have that so that we will be able to look at it much more. For the fact that Liverpool are topping with 21 points. Let's look at the much comprehensive table right now. Well, Barcelona are still second on the log. You look at them having 18 points. Arsenal, of course, 16 points. Inter Milan with 16 points. You have Atletico Madrid with 15. As it is right now, it's getting more interesting. Looking at all the teams as they are trying their best to see how they can make it right now. Well, as it is now, AC Milan, they have 15 points. Atalanta, 14. Bayer Leverkusen, 13. For the top 8, if it remains like this, but they still have one more match to play in the match day 8 that will be coming up, so the table can still change. Well, round of 16. Okay, let's have the more comprehensive one as it is. Now, if you look at this particular Champions League match day 7, you look at Liverpool. They've been able to score a lot of goals, 15 goals. They've scored, and considering only 2, the plus 13 are giving them an edge over all the teams in the Champions League so far this season. The round of 16, they've been able to qualify. They won all the 7 games, and they're having 21 points. Kudos to Liverpool, the team that really never ever walk alone. Barcelona, they scored 26 goals, conceded 11. They have a plus 15, and they have 18 points. For Arsenal, it's actually scored 14, consider only 2 goals, a plus 12 for them, 16. And Inter Milan, the Nerazzurri, scored 8 goals, 1 they conceded, a plus 7. Look at the team that is very stingy with goals, yet they are still standing top there, among the top team. They are standing number 4. Atletico Madrid scored 16 goals, they conceded 11 with a plus 5, having 15 points. AC Milan, they scored 13 goals, they conceded 9, have a plus 4, 15 points. Atalanta, surprisingly, they are among the top 8, standing 7th on the log after playing match day 7. They scored 18 goals, considered 4, they have a plus 14 and having 14 points. And Bayer Leverkusen, they have 13 points, a plus 6 goal difference after scoring 13 goals and conceding 7. It's getting so interesting. At least Atalanta and Bayer Leverkusen, we have 2 Nigerians, in fact, in that team. About 3 Nigerians trying to see what they can do. Atalanta, Ademola Lookman, Bayer Leverkusen, have Nathan Taylor, and also Boniface in that team. Well, a tough one it is, but first 1 to 8, and if they are able to end it this way, they automatically qualify for round of 16. But it's still dicey for the likes of teams from Atletico Madrid downward. They just have to, in fact, Inter Milan, Arsenal. Although for Arsenal, the deal is done, at least for looking at the plus 12, plus 7 for Inter, Atletico Madrid, AC Milan, Atalanta, they really need to work hard alongside Bayer Leverkusen, because the likes of Aston Villa, they are still hopeful that they can win their next game and still jump up. If they have 16 points, they can still at least qualify. Anything can still happen on match day 8. As it is right now, Aston Villa scored 9 goals, considered 4. They have a plus 5 with 13 points alongside AS Monaco, Feyenoord, Lille and that's the Brest there having 13 points, all having 13 points. So it's a very dicey one, match day 8, because you look at goal difference now, they actually stand them out so far. A +5, a +3, +2 for the 3, and it's getting really, really tough for some clubs. Borussia Dortmund, they have to do away with their coach, sacking Nuri Sahin because of their performance so far. This is not going well with the team, but Borussia Dortmund standing 14 there. They've played 7 games, scored 19 goals. They have considered 11 with the +8 as their own advantage, having 12 points at least to make it to knockout playoffs. So it's a big one, because all of these teams in from 9 to 24, if it ends this way, they will have to play knockout playoffs, which is not a guarantee for them. For Bayern Munich, the Bavarian giant from Germany also are struggling alongside Real Madrid, Old Lady, Juventus. Surprisingly, all these 3 big teams are not, rather 4. They're not finding it easy at all. Looking at the new format of UEFA Champions League, where you have to play league phase 8 games before you go to the knockout stage. So this is very, very interesting. For Bayern, they actually scored 17 goals, considered 11 +6, unbelievable, 12 points, standing 15 on the log. For Real Madrid, if you wonder what's happening, the defending champion of this particular league, they won it how many times? The king of Europe. But this new format is not going well with them. Well, as it is, they will get their own way to qualify for the knockout stage. They have scored 17 goals, considered 12, and have a +5 and 12 as the point that they have. Alongside Juventus, actually scored 9. The Italian teams don't score much goal. They are always good at defending. They consider 5, and they have a +4 as their own goal different, with 12 points standing in for them on points. And you look at Celtic are standing 18 on the log with 11 goals scored, considered 10, and they have a +1 and 12 points. While PSV are in the Eindhoven, Club Brugge of Belgium, Benfica of Portugal, and PSG right now, surprisingly, despite winning against Manchester City convincingly yesterday, well, they are standing 21 on the log with 10 points after scoring 14 goals, conceding 12, and have a +2 as their goal difference. For as it is right now, actually they scored 10, they considered 8. For Sporting CP and Stuttgart of Germany, 10 points, they score a +1 and a -1 for those teams. So from 9 to 24, they have to work hard if they really want to play in the knockout stage to maintain standing here. If they cannot make the top 8, at least they have another chance of playing the knockout playoffs. So if they are able to stay within the space of 9 to 24, they can play the knockout phase. And if they can win, they can still qualify to play in that particular encounter. But a tough one it is, very, very tough one to be among the 8 teams that will be joining the top 8, because 1 to 8 automatically qualify for round of 16. So the remaining 8 slots will be at least fought for by this team from 9 to 24. Looking at this is not easy at all for the likes of Real Madrid, who always top this particular league. They've done so well, 15 times winner. You just have to give it to them. They really deserve all the accolades they can get. But this particular new phase of our format is not going well with Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, Borussia Dortmund, PSG at all, because you find them from 9 to 24. Although there's still an opportunity for them to still qualify, but they have to fight another game after match day 8, or rather playoffs after match day 8, which is not too smooth. They have to fight for a space in the 8th space that will be left, and that's not easy at all, because other teams will not want to give up, considering Aston Villa, all other teams you don't want to underrate them at your own peril. Looking at Manchester City, surprisingly, they are standing 25th of the log, already out from the normal knockout playoff stage, which they really have to fight for, because the last game they have, if they can win that game, maybe they can still crawl to have at least 11 points and then crawl over. That's if other teams still don't win their game. So for Manchester City and Pep Guardiola, what happened to that team? A team with so much stars, array of stars that can even line up 3 sets of team. What happened this season is not too well with Manchester City. Guardiola is not having it easy, scoring 15 goals, conceding 13 goals, having a +2. You look at Man City by now, you'll be seeing almost 30 goals being scored by that team. They are not finding it easy. They have just 8 points in that encounter. Well, we're just looking at it comprehensively, looking at the UEFA Champions League table, match day 7, and it's getting more interesting. Wide like of Dinamo Zagreb, Shakhtar Donetsk, Bologna, Sparta Praha, Leipzig, Girona, Resta Belgrade, Sturm Graz, Salzburg, Bratislava, and Young Boys. You can agree or admit that those teams, well, they deserve to be eliminated, but not Manchester City of all clubs. So Man City will just have to come out smoking their last game to see how they can make it to the knockout playoffs. At least a team should be able to draw for them to make it. They will be hoping for that. But that's football can be funny. They could actually be eliminated totally from this league if care is not taken. For all those teams like Atalanta, Arsenal, Liverpool, Barcelona, they've been at least hoping that, likes of Liverpool, Arsenal already, they will be smiling to the bank right now. But Atalanta and other teams are hopeful. Bayer Leverkusen too, they want to hold on to it for the match day 8 to see how they can make it. But for the big guys like Real Madrid, Juventus, they just have to maintain the okay. Even if we lose our last game, we still have a chance to qualify. But it's always safer if they can crawl to the first 8. Have been able to make the deal there by at least trying their best to see how they can make it. This new format is really very interesting. I still remember when UEFA came up with it, a lot of people were wondering how is it going to be, but now it's getting much more interesting, making more money, more revenue, and also a lot of competitions because you have to fight for place, about 8 matches, looking for 24 points. If you're able to get that first, that will determine your next move. What a way to go. Looking at a lot of innovations coming from UEFA, trying to see how they can at least better the lot of all the 36 teams participating in the league right now. And the money also, they're talking about the revenue. A lot of things that change the UEFA Champions League for this season. A lot of razzmatazz I will still be expecting to happen on the last day of UEFA Champions League group stage or group phase stage there. For Liverpool, really, they never walk alone. They really do the business. 7 games, 7 wins, and you can just give them a clap for what they've done so far. Well, quickly, let's just go on another short break. By the time we return, we look at some transfer gossips.
Use one bottle, take normally. Good bottle, man. That would no be the same. DJ sounded for me, sounded for me.
One. Ecuador has just scored the first goal of the 2022 FIFA World Cup. Courtesy of Valencia. Just within 3 minutes. And it's also a goal, yeah.
Normally.
Thank you.
Later tomorrow, fire. And then that is why this tournament is for the youth. And football also is a unifying factor. Whether it's Hausa, Igbo, Yoruba, we hear football, everybody comes alive. And what it means, it's another goal! Game. FCT representative out. Once again, quickly, let's.
An interesting match there, looking at those grassroots footballers doing their best there. We've been taking you through the world of sport, looking at UEFA Champions League Match Day 7 result, and also comprehensive table of how all these teams will be fighting for honors. It's getting much more interesting when it comes to UEFA Champions League. Well, the big guys are really struggling to see how they can make it. You look at where Manchester City are right now, they are not in the right place when it comes to this particular. No one will believe this, that by Match Day 7, Man City will be standing 25th on the log. Unbelievable. And I'm sure some English Premier League fans will be hoping that this happens to them in the Premier League. Anyway, looking at that, interesting moment in UEFA Champions League. I've also looked at Europa League where Besiktas did well. But we'll move away from football. Let's talk about Australia Open tennis. For those who love tennis, a big one is coming today. We know as we speak right now, Aryna Sabalenka and Paula Badoza, that game, a big one. The friendship would not deter them. They just have to play themselves. Iga Swiatek will be facing Madison Keys. Those are the games for today in the Australian Open Women's Tennis Singles Semi-Final, where we'll actually determine the finalists between the four of them, who actually will qualify for the final. Paulo Badoza and Aryna Sabalenka are friends, very, very close friends. But when it comes to competing, there will no friendship. They just want to go for the money and also the trophy. So the big one will be happening there between Sabalenka and Paulo Badoza. Madison Keys against Iga Swiatek. Another big one coming up between the two tennis players there. Just to have a feel of what is happening in Australia Open before the men who also do their business. Well, Novak Djokovic, can he scoop it this time around? It is very possible. We wait to see if he can, alongside the likes of Zverev, can they do it? That's for them to actually determine. He was able to do well against Alcaraz Carlos, being able to defeat him there and really celebrated widely for the fact that despite the injury, he was still able to make statement. Well, among the top three when it comes to tennis in the world, then he's the only one remaining now. Federer is actually retired and Rafael Nadal has also retired. So it's only Djokovic of those old era that is left. Look at the young eras where the likes of Zverev, Alcaraz and all of them are trying to see how they can outsmart him. But he's still holding sway, showing experience against these young lads that are coming after him. We went from there. Let's now look at some transfer gossip before we wrap it up. Look at a Nigerian player. His name is Abati. Youngster Abati Abdullahi joins Jonik Zabzi of Poland from Sporting Supreme of Abuja right now. They have a player moving away from the FCT to Poland. Abati Abdullahi will be with that team, and a good one because right now have the chance to also play some international football. And who knows, it could be another star in the making for the Super Eagles, Flying Eagles of Nigeria and all that. For Abati Abdullahi, we wish him the best, looking at what is done to move away to Poland. AC Milan, another story now. We have AC Milan agrees deal to sign Kyle Walker from Manchester City on loan. Initial loan deal with Man City from that has to do with AC Milan going for 34-year-old captain. Maybe now former captain is going to be, because medical and all the necessary papers will be done, and then he will move away to San Siro to be with them, having an initial loan, which is having an option to sign. There's an option to sign this particular player if everything goes well and he performs excellently, where Kyle Walker will actually be with AC Milan right now. Congrats to the three teams talking about himself, Man City and also AC Milan. AC Milan will have to pay some of his salaries for now since he's on loan initially, and then if everything goes well with his performance, he will be with them again next season if everything goes well. Another player, let's look at defender Renato Vega to join Juventus on loan with no option. Chelsea are not ready to sell him outrightly. So he's going to be joining them on loan, talking about Juventus, but it's not going to be an option of signing him outrightly. So as it is right now, Chelsea still have belief and confidence that Vega will be better off by coming home. We've seen a lot of players that have come back and they've done well. Crystal Palace did the same thing with one of their players who was able to help them over the weekend, and now he's back doing so well. And the same thing with Vega. Renato just go to Juventus, play some games, and come back and show us that yes, we've got some experience, and we put you back with Chelsea, the defender Renato Vega there. Well, for Manchester United, looking at that story, winger Alejandro Garnacho favors move to Chelsea than Napoli. There's been talks with Napoli lately to see how he can join at Antonio Conte team, but as it is, Garnacho will prefer to go to Chelsea than going to Napoli, because to him, or rather for him, he believes that he will have more opportunity to display his talent more over there in Chelsea. Well, as it is, Napoli are really in talks with Manchester United to see how they can get Garnacho, but Garnacho prefers Chelsea. Well, we wait to see. Fingers crossed. We'll see, maybe he will get his own bite of Chelsea, or he will be moving to City of Naples to play with Napoli. Those are the transfer goals that I actually have for you on the show. 360 Sport on Trust TV, from the entire crew that's made this happen. Well, we want to appreciate you for staying with us. For the game today between Kano Pillars and Enyimba, what a match there. Fans of Kano Pillars go out there, and fans of Enyimba, they will also be hoping that they can scoop something away from Kano. We wish you the best on the show. I'm Adeni Aji Shafe. Thanks for watching.